Pato. I'm beginning.
Hi, everybody.
I'm beginning a hidden live stream. We just agreed that we would do that. So just so you know, so we can share the conversation with the others. So Sebastian posted the agenda for today. We have 5 things to work through. And let's begin on the top with the update on the community selection process. Since Hermann is leading that, Hermann, would you like to say a couple of words about this?
Yes, Bernard was kind enough to provide me with a structure on a spreadsheet, which I filled in, and he's actually busy downloading it because I couldn't do it on Google Docs. So it was supposed to be accessible for everyone. I've got all the 5 projects on there with the contact details, what they do, etc. And as I said, Raynand created a structure, but we need feedback from the rest of the team. Do we raise all the questions that need to be raised? It is an assessment that actually has been created for the final conversation with the individual projects. And for that reason, there might be additions. What I also said to him earlier, I'm writing a little story about all the 5 projects, simply purely as an input, where I see the challenges and where I also see the opportunities, and give a brief characterization of the project itself. Because, for example, you were in the meeting with the chief. This could be a very interesting and a massive project, but it could also be that he is in such a powerful situation that we might, play a minor fiddle. I'm not saying we do. I'm just want to point these things out in the little story, so that when we have the final conversation, we take heed of those. And obviously, again, whatever I write is only a guide and my opinion. So anything else that is of value and should be added will be added by the rest of the team.
Thank you, Hermann. I think that's valuable. So is that going to be part of that spreadsheet, or is that a separate? Are these separate documents?
We can incorporate it into the spreadsheets.
We want to incorporate it all into one document. Yeah.
Yeah, good. That would be nice, so we can all have a look at it. Which leads to directly, I think, to the second point in the agenda, which is lining up the meetings. When and how should we go about this? With the chief, you did a doodle. Maybe we should set up a doodle for these conversations.
Yes, we should do that. I propose we do it only next week, because I'm going up to Limpopo on Monday, and Raynand and I visit the project together. Sorry, I'm going up on Sunday, but Raynand and I are going to the project on Monday. And there is one potential project still here in Gauteng, which I would like to see. I haven't added to the list. I need to know a little bit more before I do that. And then I think we should establish, and we should only, Thomas, send out a doodle the moment we have completed the spreadsheet. In other words, all the questions that are still missing have been added. The stories have been clarified, not glorified, clarified, etc., etc. And then we should send out the doodle.
I think we can send the doodle, but we should not have the meeting before we've done that. So,
correct. Yeah. Okay. Yes. Yes.
Because that'll use some extra time. So let's say you're out on Monday, then we could actually begin sending doodle links, but only starting with options, starting with the end of next week or even at the beginning of the week after that.
What is also to be considered is that we rate internally already the most potential, least potential, and hopefully have our conversations along those lines.
Yes, but we should also go in with an open mind.
Sure.
So if I look at my calendar, we could start lining up conversations after the 7th of June. So how about we do the following? We first have a doodle among us to see where we have slots where there's 3 people available. And then we use these slots and propose them to the conversation partners.
I like Renan's proposal. He suggested there should always be 4 people having in the conversation.
Yeah.
4 from our side,
yeah.
And at least 3 would kind of cast a vote, or let's say the top 3 votes would count out of.
Yeah, the top 3 will count. I'm finished with the spreadsheet document. If you want me to share the screen, that would probably make more sense then for you to see what's in front of us. Okay, should be able to see my screen.
Yes.
Okay, so basically this is just the master document, but then project 1 is now where Herman has started completing project 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 has got information in it. So this is Joshua's project, project 1, and this is in no specific order. It's not in order of preference or order of what we think they will end up being. This is just randomly input into the system with the contact details.
Sorry, Wayne, and it's not. What I did actually, I choose the dates of my visit, or whom did I contact first?
So it's the order of events.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Joshua's the first project that we had contact with. And this has got all the details of what they do. We need to populate this further now. This is a link here, the story of Joshua. So that will go to the story, which is what Herman is going to write on each person. So that will be a direct link to go straight onto that document from the drive. And then we're going to have this with the interview. So we need to populate this with the 10 or 20 questions. If we want to put in 20 questions, doesn't really matter. We adjust the scoring. So we've got interviewer 1, 2, 3, and 4. We will then have 4 people interviewing him, scoring him based on the questions that we're going to ask him. That adds up automatically, and only 3, the top 3 scores, will be taken into account for the average score. Then we might need to populate this further, documents needed. We need to see what else is needed there. And then we've just got a space here for whoever the person is that had a conversation or any actions taken with this, the date that was done, and any comments made on this specific project. And the same goes for project 2, 3, 4, and 5. At the end of it all, the scores all pull through to the final sheet. And you can go and compare their scores per question, and you can also go and compare their average scores out of 100 to then get to a top selection or 2 or 3 selections. So yeah, that's basically where we are with this, and we've got to now just start populating the questions.
Any comments? Hi, Sebastian.
Hi, Sebastian.
I like it. Makes a lot of sense. I've been playing with the quadratic voting mechanism from Radical Exchange recently, which basically means you can similar to what you've done, you can assign or distribute a number of points across a selection of options, but we then take the square root of each of the votes that somebody puts onto a specific option, and count that. That gives more, that highlights, if you put in a lot of your voting power into one option, that gets more highlight through that. So that shows a more a better representation of the actual voting mechanism. So we could use that. I've had good experience with that. I'll pick something up and I'll send it across on the
Yep.
WhatsApp about it.
But also have a look what we did, and as I said, any additions, please.
Sorry for being late. So the wind was too strong today, so I couldn't make it in time without being dead.
Were you cycling?
Yeah, I was cycling.
Okay.
So I just sent it on WhatsApp, the quadratic voting. Okay, so we all look at that spreadsheet. Wayne shares it with us, and we propose any edits if we think so, if we think it's necessary.
Perfect.
Then regarding the meetings, we could now start blocking dates among us. As you said, Herman, finding 4 of us to be present, to be able to be present in one meeting is going to be a challenge anyway. So we should doodle that for starting on the 7th of June. And just see what are good slots that we then propose. So
I think we need to just be clear on the outcome that we want from those meetings, and if that is purely used as the assessment where we will be doing the scoring and asking call it 10 questions, then we need to all just be clear on that, so that if we've booked it out for an hour, we stick to an hour. We don't allow 2 hours of discussion.
No, we have to stick to an hour. We, as you say, we have to be strict on time anyway. Also with the candidates, like you described your process. So I'm totally in agreement there. Yes. How much time should we allot for the interview? Half an hour?
I think an hour. Yeah, hour is plenty. We can book out an hour, and then if we can get it done earlier, then we leave ourselves with a bit of time to discuss afterwards.
Yeah, so I would actually say, also to add some pressure, we do like 45 minutes or half an hour interview, and then, but for us, we book an hour, so we have 15 minutes minimum to have a brief discussion.
Yeah. Happy with that. What we do with our bursary interviews is we actually book them for 20 minutes. And if you're 5 minutes late, you've cut your own time to 15 minutes.
I would do
and
the
if
same.
your time is up, your time is up.
Yeah.
It's put a lot of pressure on them, but it does sort out the people that are always late for meetings, and people that are sort of challenged by technology in our environment. It does allow that we sort of sieve through that as well.
Yeah, I agree. So do you think 45 minutes is too much, or should we cut it down to 30 minutes?
I think 45 minutes is good. We can give him 45 minutes and then take it from there.
Okay. So I'll set up an initial doodle then for just among us. I'll send it on WhatsApp, so we can find the slots that we have 4 people available starting on the 7th of June.
Yeah,
good. And then we coordinate next week about the further the ongoing invitations with those leaders.
No.
Okay, wonderful. So, Sebastian, did we learn something during the fundraising process?
Yeah, so what we did last week was going through a list of more than 300 on our long list, together with Nico, and really visit all the website and also LinkedIn profiles to check whether there is a fit regarding our fundraising, and or a fit regarding our gross community product, because we plan to send out to everyone who might be a fit with our efforts on the impact measurement, creating a cross-community product. We are going to send out a call for participation in a town hall, so that we get in touch with more people that are interested in the community and in the impact measurement regarding community development. So I think that might be interesting to grow our network. And then we created a short list with around, I think it's 20 or something, 20-ish. So I haven't the list opened right now. With foundations. And then we try to figure out, do we have any secondary contacts? So that we can reach out to those, to ask whom to contact. And for a couple of institutions, we already got the potential introduction by someone who we know quite well, for example, for the Gates Foundation. So a good friend of mine is going to introduce us to the director of Europe, who's working for Gates Foundation for more than 10 years. So probably she will be able to give us the right introduction to the right people to talk to at Gates. And so this is how we try to narrow it down step by step. And also visiting the LinkedIn profiles of the people and stuff like that. Try to trigger some kind of action. Some people are already visited my profile or added me as asked me to add them. So a guy working for Dell Foundation in South Africa, who's director for projects, added me, and so stuff like that. So, and hopefully we have set this up properly, until the next couple of weeks, so that we have, as soon as we have more understanding of the community and the challenges of the community and the opportunities and the selection of the startup, so that we can start reaching out to those. This is so currently the status, but we keep on sending out also our shortlist, to people that know the landscape quite well, and we will send it out to you as well. Maybe you know someone from previous projects, and also Thomas has started something with a contact from Scandinavia, who also might help us with plenty of experience and access to the philanthropic networks in Scandinavia, which are more active, as we learned, than the German philanthropes. And so Scandinavia is more active here. And so, but we have a good network to Scandinavia, and hopefully something will come also out of that.
If I may raise a question in that context.
Please.
Holland, the Netherlands, seem to be very, very active across Africa. Again, when whether it's United Nations meetings, whatever meetings is, I may not meet Germans, but I definitely meet a couple of Dutchmen, and from universities, from funders. So if you've got connections into the Netherlands, I think you should look at that as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so I need to, we need to have a look at it. Yeah, and do a little more research on that. But I see that as well. And yeah, this is also definitely something to reach out. Thomas, you want to add something?
No, we're continuously working on this. I just had a conversation with somebody who's in New York and who's gonna try and connect us with somebody who's relevant for what we do at the UN. I think we're constantly working towards getting this funded.
Sebastian, I shared with you in the past, actually with both of you, both my brother's contacts as well as Klaus Wittkohn. Klaus had at one stage very strong connections to US aid. Should I send a mail to him, copy you or vice versa, to have a conversation around that? Because it might be better if it comes from you. As I said, he was very, very much involved with them. I don't know whether that still exists, but it's something to explore.
Yeah, so I think it's always, we need to give serendipity a chance. Yeah, and then people that are around in that area, yeah, and might have contacts, yeah, even if he has contacts that you are not thinking about, maybe it's not USAID, but someone else. Yeah, so I think we are really in the mode of if we see a good chance for serendipity here, that something come out of that, it's always fine investing 30 minutes in a call. Yeah, so I'd never do longer than 30 minutes in such calls right now. Yeah, but that's normally enough. Yeah, and then you can think about, okay, I normally say then to the people I have a call with, okay, please think about how you might contribute to Motherland, because a lot of people are really interested. Yeah, and I always want to push them to make a suggestion their own.
Yes. Remember, I spoke to you about a contact I had with an ex-CEO or retired CEO of Kreis Handwerkskammer.
Yeah.
And we had, in our, prior to Motherland, we had conversations with them. I think I mentioned to you, actually, I tell you what, let's not waffle here. I connected with Hermann Röder. He's the ex-CEO. And he wanted to actually pay a visit to the German embassy, to the South African embassy. By the way, I think they're still in Bonn or Bad Godesberg.
Oh, okay.
But
so
anyway,
I'm in there in July anyhow. So
I connect you with Hermann Röder, and he is the one, as I said, who works with SEQA. On the technical side more than on the pure agricultural side.
Yeah, so that's great. So because we wanted to, if we are now doing it in South Africa, we should talk to the South African embassy. Yeah, because I got the hint from someone who's doing a project in Rwanda. Yeah, and they got in touch with the ambassador of Rwanda in Berlin. Yeah, and he's now a strong supporter and advisor to the project, which helped them a lot. Yeah, so, and that's why I think it's worth a try. Yeah, reaching out to the ambassador.
Well, as I said, I will connect you with Hermann Röder.
Wonderful,
and there is an organization. The name escapes me for the moment. It's a German organization that is there to encourage German investment in foreign countries and foreign investment in Germany.
Yeah.
And I have been in contact with well, he's not a German, he's a Lebanese, funnily enough, but I think he's got a German passport today. he is here based in South Africa. I think I need to talk to him as well and copy you guys.
Good. Thank you, Herman.
All right. So next on our list is we'd like to have a conversation around being more specific on what everybody here in this group, and then we will extend it to everybody else can contribute, and what that might be in terms of role. And the reason why we'd like to do it in that order is we've been sitting and thinking and trying to imagine who might be well suited in which role, etc. And we think this is the wrong way around. We think everybody should just decide what they can contribute, and then from there we step up to define a role. So I mean, even though Herman and Wayne and what you guys are doing is pretty obvious and visible to everyone, I would very much appreciate it if you could take a moment to, in just like 1, 2, 3 minutes, describe what you are contributing. So to make it also visible once again to everybody. And then once the two of you are done, I would like to do the same or hear the same from the Rato and Tendo. I want to add to that something we talked about before both of you, Rato and Sebastian, joined, which is Tendo was worried about the fact that he's sometimes busy with work and cannot join this call. And I said that he should not burden himself with a guilty conscience about that, but that we value every contribution, however small or big, because we can only get this done together as a team. So Herman and Waynand, would you be willing to give us a little overview of what you are doing for Motherland, as kind of like as a blueprint and inspiration for both Rato and Tendo, and for the others who hopefully will listen to this later?
Herman, you want to go first? I think you're sort of leading it, so if you want to go and I'll fill in.
Okay. I think it's, I don't want to sound arrogant, but I think I can clearly claim that I took a leadership role in that whole process. And something I enjoy. I think I did it in many ways quite competently. I also played a role of a facilitator. Yet, without the input of others, I wouldn't have been able to achieve what we achieved collectively. And I would like to stay in that leadership role as long as I'm mentally and physically capable of doing that. Contributing ideas, I think from a creative point of view, I've been fairly active as well. And also, and that's where I see one of my strengths, I think, was on the communication sector, even though it didn't always lead to the results we were hoping for, encouraging others to contribute a bit more, etc., etc. But I think that will happen the moment we really start working actively. But that also then means that that kind of if you like, leadership needs to be in place in order to keep things together, to have streamlined ideas. And the one thing, simply because of my involvement, I think I've been able to articulate quite well to contacts here locally what Motherland is about, what we intend doing. And what excites me is that we also look at certain proceedings from a different point of view, whether it's now the community gross domestic product, etc., etc. And I think some of these ideas still require a bit of salesmanship, because they are foreign to a lot of people, or they might have think, yeah, we should have a different economical system, but no idea how to go about it. Not that I'm an expert in that field, I'm not. There I would need guidance, but I think I'm a fairly capable salesman with regards to that. That's my contribution. If you have questions, please.
I think it reflects very well how I see your contribution. So I have nothing to add. Sebastian, do you want? No.
Thank you, Herman.
Waynant, do you want to build on that?
Yeah, I think Herman and I have sort of built on a relationship. I've sort of built on a relationship over the last, I don't know, 2 years it is, something like that, that we've known each other, and we've worked on a number of proposals and different things together, and quite successfully so. And I think what's starting to sort of manifest itself is the various or individual skills that we have, not just between us, but in our teams as well. And how to utilize that to the benefit of the project is where we need to fine tune it going forward. My expertise come in farming, in connecting, networking, education. So those are the 4 fields that I would say I can play a massive role moving forward. But to date as well, I think a lot of the people that we have identified as potential projects in South Africa are people that sort of come from my network of people. And that's what we like doing. We like connecting people because we're big believers in collaboration and working together instead of each one trying to do his own thing. So yeah, I think moving forward, we just enjoy sharing ideas, sharing our experiences in the African environment, which is hugely valuable with the projects that we've been involved in. And yeah, I would like to somewhere in the future start bringing in my team of people wherever necessary to assist with whatever admin and assistance we need. Herman and I met, it feels like a month ago, but it was just Friday, I think. So Thursday, I don't even know anymore. Friday it was, yeah. So we met on Friday, and we actually, I had my marketing and recruitment manager with me, and she comes with a whole set of expertise of her own, having worked in the non-profit and public educational institution environment for 32 years as the marketing director at UNISA, which is one of the biggest universities in the world, with Vista College, the Medunsa College, the medical college. So she comes with a whole set of skills of her own. She's a qualified life skills coach. She lives in Gauteng. So in time, those sort of skills will we brought into the project. And until then, we're just doing what we can to assist where we can. So I think that's about it from my side.
Thank you. That's wonderful. So your focus is on network with your wider network, but also into your company and organization resources, which is great.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I know the benefits for the company. I've said this many times in the past. I have to also keep in mind that I am employed by the company, and I have to balance my time to sort of cater for both sides of it. But I do know that the benefits will, in the end, outweigh the time that I'm spending on it at the moment. So yeah, I'm happy to continue with what I'm doing. And if there's more where I can assist, happy to do so.
Wonderful.
Thank you, Wayne.
Flash, maybe just to add to that, a lot of the stuff I've been doing actually came from Wayne, and maybe that I didn't clearly express earlier. And the offer or the agreement between the two of us, if he's got an idea or a contact, but he hasn't got the time, I take the ball and start running with it that Wayne has thrown to me. For example, Tendo wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Wayne.
Yeah, that's I think what I also mentioned. We do fill each other on quite well in that sense that I've got the connections. I just don't always have the time to visit them or to. I mean, like last week I was in Gauteng for 3 days. I would have loved to have gone and met Gugu and Tendo and whoever else was available, but I had 16 meetings in 2.5 days. So it's just not possible.
Yeah, I agree, and that's so that I think that's actually a beautiful example of how we can work together here by throwing each other balls, so to say, towards our common goal.
I think that's really important because you all probably know the principle of reciprocity, which is one of the core principles to build working networks and ecosystems. Yeah, and I think this is really what we do. We give in all a lot, yeah, and not knowing exactly what and when to get back, yeah, but we all trust in this group that we get back, right? And I think that is really crucial, and this is the bond that we all create, yeah, and therefore this really has to work, and it's really wonderful that it's working. Thank you.
So Google is to fill you in quick. What we're doing right now is we're on action item 4 from our agenda, describing, everybody's self-describing what your contribution is towards Motherland as a basis for starting to talk about what a role could be. Herman and Wayne just opened. Since you missed that, I would suggest that you go after Tendo or Berato to get a blueprint for how they're doing it. Berato, Tendo, who wants to go? Tendo, you unmuted yourself.
Yeah, I can.
You want to go ahead?
Yeah. So, I mean, I've been toying with this issue that's been worrying me a bit, and maybe this is a platform to, to try and clarify it. Because when I came in,
Hi, Tendo.
Hi, can you hear me?
No, your mic is a bit low. I can't hear you, but I can like hear that you're speaking, but I can't really hear you out.
Is it? And is that the problem with everyone else?
You're soft, but I can. You're soft, but I can hear you.
Oh, okay.
I think because I don't have earphones on, I'm struggling.
Sorry, even with earphones, it's not very good.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'll speak much louder. Now, I was saying that there is an issue that I'm sort of not very clear about, because when I came on board, I had submitted my brief as a potential project, and I think that it's still the case. There's a potential project that might be one that needs to be evaluated, and I sort of feel like there might be a slight conflict of interest there, which I think we need to to deal with. When you were talking earlier on about the meetings to do evaluations, I wondered what kind of role one would play if one of my projects is going to be an evaluated project too. So how I see my role is that I am a farmer, and I do have a project that could potentially become one of the prototypes within the motherland as we sort of proceed. So that I think we need to clarify how that is going to work, given that I sit in this level and I also have a potential project that might need to be evaluated.
Where are you from, Tendo?
Sorry?
Where are you from? Where are you based?
I'm in Gauteng. I'm in the cradle of humankind. That's where my farm is.
Okay.
Cool. So the other role one can play is that, if, for example, my own project wasn't selected as a prototype, I do have quite a skill or a expertise in managing community projects, which I have done over the years, and I'm involved in some at the moment, also in sort of agriculture based. So I think that there is a potential there, to be a resource to supporting prototypes that may be closer to where I am. So if it's in Gauteng, for example, and it's not my own project, I see that I could play a role of facilitating or working with that initiative once it's selected. Yeah.
So that sounds great. Of course, yeah. You thank you for pointing out the conflict of interests. Yes. So maybe you should not be part of the interviews then. That's totally right. That would make things a bit weird. But so to sum up, you can be very hands-on regarding the community. You could even become something like a community liaison for the accelerator program, maybe even the accelerator project lead if you're not the project we're working with. Does it sum it up well?
Absolutely.
Nice, thank you.
Thomas,
yeah.
I've always seen Tendo in a possible dual role. On the
That's
one hand,
okay.
he's got the expertise that Motherland needs in general, and on the other hand, he's a potential representative of a project. So
that's totally okay. I think the only thing we have to be careful with is that he's not involved in the voting process.
Correct.
So Lerato and Guguletu. Lerato, do you want to go?
Okay, yes, I can go ahead. Besides me being somebody from the farming family, everybody in my family is a farmer. My father is a farmer. I have been working closely with rural communities, especially who are dealing with subsistence farming. And my role in that, I've always tried to see how I can, because I have built over years through my profession, which is marketing and branding. I've managed to build a good network in the government and privately, and see how we can help the rural communities, be integrated in the economy and be the participant as well in the mainstream economy of South Africa. So that has been my role, to see that they are active participants in the mainstream economy of South Africa. So I do that through linking them with the government, official departments, and some private sectors that I've been dealing with. Beside the fact that I have been being a CSI project for Shanduka Resources, where I was dealing with community in the past. So yeah, I believe my role within Motherland probably it's sort of networking as well, marketing and branding the company, the organization, the way it should be. Yeah, I think that's where my strength is.
Okay, nice, very specific. Thank you.
Yeah.
Googleito, you want to also go?
Yes, sorry, I'm having terrible network.
Yeah. Do you want to try? Do you want to try
Yes.
anyway?
Yeah. So okay, for me, first of all, I am a farmer myself, a small scale farmer. You know, I'm not really, I think, as experienced as maybe Waynard is, but you know, I think I can hold my own here and there. But so with me, I think what I can bring to Motherland is I think I'm really good with social media, and I have a lot of connections, and I can facilitate, being that I actually own my own company. And I can.
I think you're dropping out again. Maybe try without video. Okay. Well,
Can
this
we
is
ask her to briefly articulate it in an email or a WhatsApp message?
yes. I just wanted to say that. So, I mean, there are some other people like Kiptu and Elizabeth who and many other people. So, and all of them should be asked what they want to contribute. And we actually think this is a necessary beginning of a conversation towards something we've been navigating around, which is we all are in this because we believe that this is a positive change in the world that needs to happen, right? If we are successful with that operation, then it's almost inevitable that there will be some profits coming out of this. And we want to be sure that everybody who contributed will get their fair share of whatever profits might occur. But I want to make sure that there's a clear understanding that this is not our primary objective. Okay. And the way we intend to do this is, I'd like to just give you a brief sketch of how we do this, how we plan to do this, is that there's usually in startups, there's something called an employee stock options program, which allows employees to receive shares in a very unbureaucratic way in an organization. And we will have that for sure, but we will also have the founding partners stock options program, so to say. And this includes everybody here in this call, right? So that if there is any kind of profitability in this organization at one point, all of this sweat and blood and tears that everybody here puts in will also be rewarded, and nobody will be left behind. We want to make sure that this actually happens. And the way we want to do this is by assigning to everybody else. So there will be events, so where we start a company and we distribute these founding shares. We will have a list of everybody who contributed, and then everybody gets to assign what you think is a fair share that each of these people receive from the entirety, except for yourself. And then we just take the average of that. So if you are active inside of Motherland and helping move this forward, you're more visible to other people, and by that you're more likely to also receive shares in this in the long run. So we've been struggling to start talking about this because this puts a different light on the conversation, but we also think that it's a necessary thing to address, because as Wayne had also pointed out, everybody here has a day job that pays the bills, and we all need to find an excuse apart from collecting karma points for future generations to put this time and energy into this. So this is our approach. It's up for discussion, of course. We can discuss that, but we've thought a lot about this, and we believe that this is the best path to take right now.
Yeah. Also, maybe just a little background from my side. So we are currently in talks with many people how to set up the organization, as an entity, that is able to receive donations and grants and so on and so forth, but also has kind of a hybrid structure of being a for-profit company. But this is, as everything in Germany, this is really complex. And so Thomas and I, we haven't done this. We have founded limited companies, but not non-profit limited companies or a foundation. And we are currently trying to figure out what is the setup where we can get this off the ground, as lean as possible, without getting without any risk, especially when it comes to later events of taxation, etc., etc. So this is kind of a discussion that is going on here in Germany. We are talking to people. We try to find a blueprint for that. But this is not an easy thing to do. And we need then to also figure out how to do that then is in South Africa, and stuff like that. So this is currently underway. And this also probably will take some time to figure out how to do that decently. It might happen that we do kind of a bridging setup, which is easier to set up, cost less, because that might also mean that if we are making a decision for a complex a setup, it might take time on the one hand side and also cost a lot of money. And this is what we want to prevent, because in the first step, we want to run the prototype, learn from the prototype, and then take it from there.
Hi, Tendo here. May I come in?
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. I actually did have a bit of a discussion with Herman about this, I think 2 weeks ago or so. So I want to propose that maybe we dedicate a meeting, one of the meetings in the future, to discuss the business model. But that's clearly something that I'm quite interested to understand more in detail, what the business model of Motherland is, how it operates at a more global level, how it operates at a local environment. I mean, for example, you mentioning, the laws and the regulations as they pertain in Germany. There may be, specific laws that pertain to different African countries, for example, that we'll need to take into account. So I think it might be a very useful thing to understand the business model. If we're setting it up as a not-for-profit, how, for example, will those shares that Thomas spoke about, come about, and so on and so on. I think let's just perhaps have a more in-depth discussion. The other thing, when we're talking about the roles of different people, I may have come in quite late in the process, but I'm quite keen to understand the roles that Sebastian plays, the roles that Thomas plays, whether collectively or individually. I think that may be quite useful to just clarify as well, so that we've got common understanding of it. Yeah, I mean, I see the roles that you play complementarily together when you come to meetings, having prepared for the meetings and so on. But I wonder if it's something that you could also just let us have a sense of more broadly, I think.
Yeah, I dropped out for a moment because I had to open the gate for somebody. I think these are valid points. So let me begin with the structure. So if we want to scale that solution that we are going to prototype in one community across a country or even across the continent, then we will not be able to do this without substantial financing, because we will have upfront expenses that we have to pre-finance for this. It is very, very unlikely that we get access to this kind of finance through government grants or foundations. So we need to have some sort of an incentive system that is driven by financial capital that allows us to do this scaling operation. This is why we need to also have a for-profit company. But at the heart, there's a non-profit company or organization. And the reason why we will have this non-profit organization at the heart is that we can, with that structure, protect the mission of the for-profit against purely financial interests of investors. That's why we're structuring it that way. The shares we're talking about are shares in the for-profit organization, because we believe that if there is any profit, then everybody who puts in effort and sweat into this in the beginning will need to get something of that. So regarding the business model, we don't know, but we think that there is so if we are successful with the accelerator program, meaning we put together a bundle of startups in a local community and tie them together into something that operates well together, better than alone, there will be something happening between these startups. That will come from us, that will come from Motherland. Whatever that, probably some layer of software. This is also the basis for the replication / scaling that will happen after that. Only with something like that we can easily apply it to other communities. When we do that, we also are kind of like the gatekeeper to the information flows in that community, which means that we can ask for a revenue share from the involved startups. And our estimation is that we will, as the Motherland for-profit, have an annual revenue of $1.50 per community member. Okay, so that's regarding the ideas around the business model. We could also have business models where we, as the for-profit organization, own shares in the startups, but that's a much more complex operation. Okay. Okay, Sebastian, I'm going to finish. I'm going to describe our roles, and then I'm going to wrap up as well. Thank you.
I have to leave. So
thank you
for the proactive session. Yeah, bye-bye.
Regarding Sebastian's and my role, so we initiated the whole thing. First of all, we are on the fundraising side, we're very active. On the overall structuring side, we're very active. Our objective is to create something that on a even higher meta level is repeatable in other regions of the world. So we think that everything we do here, not the content, not the concrete operations, let's say working with local communities and their agricultural process, but maybe working with local communities and their educational process could be very helpful for Europe, let's say, or Latin America, or Asia, or other parts of America, etc. So what we want to do on a meta level, and we're working on the documentation regarding this, is learn from the entire process how we can replicate the entire process of what we've been doing for a year, all the way up to where we are replicating and scaling the solution that we found after the accelerator. So that's how we see our roles. Does that answer your question, Tendo? Tendo?
Like a little bit more crystallized view of it, you know, where the differences are between the NPO, the private company, how it's going to actually operate, and where everybody else fits into that.
Did it clarify or not? Do you want to go
No,
deeper?
I'm saying, I think it clarifies it broadly, but I do think that at some point it's going to be made more crystal clear and probably even more documented, I think.
Well, so first of all, in our presentation, I don't know if you have that. I'll send the current presentation into the into our Slack, into our WhatsApp. So here.
Yeah, sorry, I may have missed it. I'm sorry, I haven't seen.
Oh, good. Oh, good. Oh, good. So there's a description of that. We don't know exactly 100% how we are setting up the structures. We are talking with lawyers, tax people. We're talking with friends who've set up similar structures. We just had a conversation with one friend who has a foundation. That foundation then owns a for-profit and a non-profit, which are sisters. And so there are many, many ways of structuring this in addition to the structures internationally. So this is super complex stuff. And we don't know any definite answers here. What we do know is what we want to solve, and that we want everybody involved to come out happy. Yeah, Herman.
Well, I think what also will happen now when we start clarifying the 5 projects we have, we also need, from a local point of view, look at the need for legalizing things, what legal entities, etc., etc. So also those findings should be fed back to you, because it could give there will definitely be specifics in South Africa which may not apply to Germany. There will be specifics in South Africa which will not apply to Nigeria. So we also need to look at structure and business plans, etc., from a local point of view.
Correct.
And
this
by
is
preparing them and sharing them with you, you also get input and perspectives you may not even be looking at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. So this is definitely one aspect that is super helpful from getting from all of you. In addition to that, we are in early conversations with the big 4 consultancy, international tax people, PricewaterhouseCoopers, and the others, because they have exactly that kind of knowledge. And we're trying to figure out how we can onboard them without them hijacking the entire process. And so these are the kinds of things we're doing.
Understood. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
I also have to step out.
Yeah.
I've got, remember I mentioned the Potential 6 project. She's contacted me. She wants to talk to me at 6:15.
Beautiful. That's in a minute. So I have to head out too, and I wish everybody an amazing evening, and thank you for your time. I will share this recording with the others and ask them to also share their thoughts on WhatsApp about their roles.
And a final remark from my side, I will also pick the brains of our crew here, Tendo, Waynand, Derato, etc., how we see and what they know. I mean, they're all experienced business people.
Yep.
So
Yep.
there is a potential input, which I think we should collate.
Beautiful. Thank you.